Appreciate
Hey y'all, I'm just up here yapping, forgetting, thinking everybody was coming in person, forgetting that some folks might just thinking about the people coming and forgetting about the folks that may join online. So what's happening? And I see Mello just jumped off, so they might just be pulling up. I knew they were coming, so that's probably Mello pulling up.
Yeah, I think Lawrence is on the way. He's a little late.
Yeah, he let me know.
Okay.
He got all the cheering too. Gave you some quiet time.
No, they actually sick.
Oh,
Aw.
Yeah. So got nursing back to health.
okay. It
Hey,
happens.
Cynthia.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
I was hoping I was gonna be able to give you a hug, ma'am.
I know. I was so excited about coming. Then them babies, they went to their grandmother's house for Zaya's birthday. And the very next day, they were like, my throat hurt. And I was like, oh, Lord.
That's right. Come on in, okay?
I definitely get it. I understand. I remember them days when my
Right.
kids was younger.
Right. And I knew it's so funny. I knew it was going to happen because their little cousin, every time I see that runny nose, I already know what it is. And I was just hoping. I said, I'm going to have everything ready when they came home. Had the elderberry juice on deck, had echinacea gold seal, automatically started giving it to them. But of course, it is what it is. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully they be feeling better soon. And
yeah,
I'll try to make another one next month. So hopefully I'll get to see y'all sometime soon. We'll see you
yeah,
sometime soon. I
yeah.
know you said Lawrence is on the way. But the drive wasn't too bad. The traffic wasn't too bad.
Okay.
You say hello. I'm Cynthia. Yeah, nice to meet you. You too, you too. You too. Yes, absolutely.
So Ashley,
Ashley.
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Rucker. Hey.
how you doing?
Good. Can't complain.
Good. I really appreciate you for supporting us the other day.
Man, I appreciate being in a space with so much good energy. I had a good time.
For real, I'm glad to
Yeah, I had a good time. It was dope. Congratulations to y'all.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I was like, they got so much good energy around them. I was just like, yeah, this should be a breeze for y'all.
Sorry, congratulations.
Yeah,
First thing, congratulations, congratulations, y'all. That's a big deal.
But yeah,
Oh,
we were really intentional on who we wanted at the wedding. So
Yeah, I can tell.
kind of had those good vibes, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, I appreciated being there with oh, what is the other the woman who's at the table with us? I got her name and number.
Melanie,
What's that her name?
uh-huh.
What
You
is
talking
that?
about
Okay.
who's with the kids?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Melanie, Miss
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to actually talk to her.
Oh yeah, she's really involved. I think we could really benefit from one another.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be a good move. Need any help?
I should have asked in the group. I didn't know like people's eating preferences or restrictions or whatever. So hopefully the stuff I brought is okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be all good. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be eating. Yeah.
But I did go ahead and I made some vegetarian pasta too, in addition to bringing the meat, because I'm like, I ain't know. Like I said, I should have asked, but. So how long have y'all been together? If they don't mind me asking.
Since 2021,
Okay.
so May 2021.
Exciting.
So we was friends since 2019, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, we was friends for a couple of years
That's awesome.
before.
That's awesome. Yeah. Congrats again.
Appreciate it.
That's good. I'm glad y'all got to create the type of energy that y'all wanted, because I feel like so many, I got married, well, my husband passed away, but I got married in 1994, like a long time ago. And I just remember my wedding day being like one of the funnest, like not even just sweet fun, like one of the funnest days ever. And you see so many people like destroy the fun out of their whole thing because they get so worried about like little stuff that ain't nobody gonna even remember or notice.
And that you don't have control over.
Or control over, yeah. Cause yeah, we was late and all types of stuff. It was like, who cares? Like we got married in my parents' backyard and we had a ball. We had so much fun. So yeah, I'm glad that y'all got to do it in the way y'all wanted to.
Yeah, it was definitely fun.
That's cool.
Even in the movement of the day, it was still good movement.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like that intentional. Everybody, that was the feedback we've been getting. It was like, that's what we wanted for everybody.
Yeah.
Feel the love in the room and
Yeah, that's what it's about. That's what it's all about, the love in the room.
yes. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Good to hear. I'm happy for y'all.
See y'all. See the newlyweds.
Right.
Yeah.
So, sure y'all heard now, we want to just be here about like 5 minutes. Let me go ahead, record. Can get started with some check-ins, and then, when Lawrence get here, we can get into the agenda. Oh, we're already recording. All right, I got to set up on auto record. That's right. So then at times, Ashley, I might have to be trying to pull up docs and stuff, so you might see me moving this around a little bit, because I'm like working on this computer and zooming on it. So with that said, let's go ahead and get some check-ins going. How's everyone feeling? What type of energies are we bringing into our time together today? So let's just jump in.
I would say I'm bringing curiosity. I've seen a lot of great ideas, so it's interesting to see how we're gonna mesh them together. I'm really curious and excited for it. So yeah,
So confident and excited.
confident.
Because when I was reading through it, I was like, this is confidence and excitement.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would echo that. And then also, I'm just really happy to be here in person. So it was definitely worth the trip from Lawrenceville, because it's a different energy when you get to be in someone's presence and meet them, and you know what I'm saying, have that energy exchange. So I'm really happy to be here.
Love it. Likewise, happy that you're here.
Yes, absolutely.
I would say same, kind of that curiosity, how we're gonna put our heads together, even through the differences of perspectives, but really, yeah, I won't go too deep. So I'll say, yeah, just the curiosity, the excitement, curiosity, excitement, and just, that we're in it. We're in it, you know what I mean? And we just gotta keep communicating until, and just put one foot in front of the other. So I'm just excited for the continual unfolding, I guess is what I'm saying, the continual unfolding.
Yes.
Yeah. How about you, Ashley?
Excited. I'm excited. So we've been doing this for a long time.
No, right?
We get to places where it's just like, oh, but lately I just feel an energy of like rejuvenation and ready to learn new things. And I'm excited just to see how we have grown, in our perspectives, and how that's going to assist with creating community again. So I've even been kind of like looking at some of the intentional communities. Like, I don't know why I just watch them documentaries over and over sometimes just to see like how far they came and how they feel about their community and some of the things they would like to see, different and how we're building. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Kanisha.
Hey y'all.
Hey.
So,
I'm bringing disappointment because Cynthia's there and I'm not home today.
I know, like, I really thought I was gonna give you a hug today. I was so sad when I saw that message. I was like, dang.
Okay.
Like that Mello and Deani are back. I mean, I've been able to hug y'all though. I ain't been able to hug Cynthia yet. But congratulations, y'all. I'm also bringing a lot of love today because I'm in a really, really sensitive space today. And the more sensitive I feel, the more love I feel. So I'm bringing a lot of love. And I'm bringing. I'm I'm a little flustered that I'm trying to navigate multiple things at one time. So I'm doing my best to ground and be intentional and present at the same time.
Cool. So, Lawrence pull in while I was looking out the way by any chance? Y'all see anybody pull in? No? Okay. All right, so the agenda for today is going to be really, really simple. I didn't even type it up because it was like it's really going to be really heavily about dialogue, right? About dialoguing about our vision for the structure. And we kind of started it. We had phases. We came up with like phase one, if y'all remember that. And it's like the phase one working group, we're chopping it up in the Heartbeat app. And it's like, all right, we need some space to really talk. We can't, I didn't think that would be appropriate to keep trying to go back in the recordings because I had so many questions and we just need a space for that. Also, Cynthia had some proposals for the culture statement that I figured we would start there.
Okay.
And start with Cynthia's proposals, hear her why, and see if what we can put our heads around in terms of everyone, what we can consent to as a group.
Okay.
So, did anyone need water? You see, you got a drink, but if y'all want you want some water or something?
yeah.
Have you done it yourself since you've been here? I'll show you. Have you gotten it yourself since you've been here the last few times? So you can help yourselves at any point to like water or anything.
I'm gonna get a little plate.
Okay. And like food, just kind of grab it and come back whenever y'all want. But
Oh, no, I'll warm up something in a minute. The sausage that's, do you eat meat? Okay, then never mind. I'm just gonna tell you the different types, but the pasta is vegetarian. Okay.
Your hair's so cute, boo.
Just take these out from here.
Actually, huh? I was thinking your hair is so cute.
Thank you. Well, I told Deani, I said, Deani, I need you to do my hair for your wedding, child, because and it came out cute. Thank
But she
you.
did it. How did she do
Yeah.
it, girl?
I'm gonna have to
She
come out so I can see
she
your
used
hair.
the pipe cleaners.
Okay.
What is cute? And I just left them in for like 2 weeks, and then I took it out like right before the wedding.
Yeah, cause I be wanting to change this up a little bit. So what did she use?
Pipe cleaners, like the little the arts and craft little fuzzy thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those.
And just roll it around on there?
Yep,
Oh,
yep,
okay. I might try that.
yeah. And the way she did it, I was able to wear that alone as a style.
Uh-huh.
And I just because I had a award ceremony, we went to we had a award ceremony at Clinton County School System. We was awarded, and I was like, baby, I'm just gonna go just like this, and still had compliments. So
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to try that, cause I was just talking to my daughter about my birthday coming up, and I was like, I'm so used to, like, before I got my locks, I would change my hair all the time. So like now, I'm like more trapped in, like I wanna see, like change my hair, or whatever, so she's like, you can do different styles, so that's perfect. You came right on time with that. Try that.
yeah, absolutely.
we'll be right back.
What y'all eating over there?
I gotta go see what's all in there. I brought some chicken sausage and some brats and a vegetarian pasta. Um, and I think she said a chickpea salad.
Mhm.
And, I know there were some donuts in there too that I had seen, so, we'll go in there in a minute and make me a little plate, I think, too. So.
I'm over here snacking on pickled eggs. I'm missing out on all the good food. I said I'm gonna have to get what I can get.
Oh, how they feeling today, babe?
We'll bring you some back with him.
Thank you. Cause I'm looking at these, I was like, oh, they look so good.
And I brought them fresh peaches that I got the other day from the farmer's market too, so he can bring you one of them too.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
But Kanisha, they're doing better. Ori is a little more, he's always been a little bit more, sensitive when he's sick. So I have them sitting outside in the sun right now, drinking tea. And I made them they're using the lemon mint popsicles that I have made to like soothe their throat and stuff like that. So they'll be all right. Still working my nerves, so they ain't that sick.
I'll be back, y'all.
Right.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right. All right, let me share this with people that ain't with us. All right. So those of you who are on the computer, y'all can see my screen. You see the culture statement, Ashley?
I do.
All right. So you'll see what we have here is collectively sustainable village is a living, evolving vision of care, joy, and liberation. We are co-creators rooted in friendship, guided by love for the earth and each other. Our culture transitions us away from oppressive systems towards spiritual alignment and shared abundance. We embody peace, protection, and power with regenerating land and life through biomimicry, food sovereignty, and joyful cooperation. Together, we are building not just a village, but a thriving example of what is possible when people live in harmony with nature and one another. So that's what we agreed on the last time that we worked on this. And in terms of the shared values, this was a collection. I haven't reduced it down just yet, but that's on my to-do. I'll get to that. This is a reminder. And then Cynthia took a look at it and came back with the following proposed revision. So before, I guess, I don't know, before or after, do you want to give us some context on what you were going for here? Maybe
I can do it after.
Okay, you want me to read it first?
Yeah, you can read it, because I wasn't at the meeting before when y'all came up with it. I couldn't attend that one, so.
All right, so here's Cynthia's proposed revisions, or let's just say proposal. And it started with Cynthia reaching out in Heartbeat and asking if we could add something about natural law. And I'm not sure if any of you saw that exchange, but what I shared with Cynthia was like, I personally was feeling some resistance to adding the words natural law to the culture statement, because for me, that would be no different than, like, it's a philosophy. So I didn't want to put anything that was like a philosophy in our culture statement, because that goes towards, like, it can be interpreted as something towards like dogma or that we're all buying into one philosophy. And I asked her, I guess that's what I shared about my discomfort. Because I have like my theory of indivisibility, for example, even though I think that it'll have a role in what we do, I wouldn't put that in any like statements because everyone may not agree with every element of it, et cetera. So that's kind of what I was feeling through. And when I came back with that feedback, and I was like, maybe can you take some of the principles of natural law and propose adding those? And that's when Cynthia came back with this. So, well, before I read it, do you want to say anything about that exchange?
Well, for one thing, with natural law, it's just the law of the universe. It's not like a belief system or like a religion or like anything like a man-made law. So I kind of think because man-made laws have been so oppressive, people just think of law that realize that as something negative.
Yeah.
But when you look at the laws of the universe, it is something that we're supposed to look at with reverence and with respect and with honor. And so it's a totally different type of law. And because it's rooted in just the true reality of the universe, it doesn't matter if you believe in it because it's still going to be the true reality of the universe. So it doesn't take your belief because it's just the immutable, unchangeable laws. And it's a very simple principle. So it's not like you're asking people to buy into like this particular lifestyle or da 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 da. You're asking people to do no harm, respect other people's freedom, and live in truth. So it's like the principles are so general, like it's like if you disagree with them, it's something else going on because then you're saying, okay, I have the intention of doing some harm. Okay, I have the intention of lying or whatever.
Mhm.
If you can't look at those basic principles of the universe and say, okay, if I want the things that I say I want, like harmony, peace, love, freedom, but I want to be dishonest, I want to steal, I want to commit violence, things like that that go against natural law, then you really don't want the first thing that you said.
Mhm.
So that's why I guess it's just I don't look at natural laws of like a philosophy. It's just the laws of the universe. That's it. And it's natural law, God's law, universal law, spiritual law, whatever name you want to give it. So I had no problem with not using the word and just the principles, but I do feel very strongly that those principles are so foundational to freedom that they need to be incorporated in some way because it's just we will always end up back in the position that we're in if we do not embrace those laws. If we keep oppressing each other, if we keep using violence and dominance and authority, lying, manipulation, those type of things, no accountability for our own actions and our own what we're putting into the system to keep this perpetuating when we don't take accountability for that. When we always say, well, it's the government. It's my family. They didn't never love me right. It's always someone else. And if people join this community without that sense of accountability, I think that's going to be a huge problem because then they're going to say, it's some God's fault. It's Lauren's fault. It's Melo's fault that this ain't working out and never theirs. That they're not putting in what they're saying they want to get out. They're coming in looking for a replacement for daddy government with us.
Gotcha.
And that
Gotcha.
ain't what we want. We want everybody to come in with the energy of, I'm willing to put in what I get out.
Right.
And be accountable for when I don't.
Right. Okay. And you made another point that I also made in the message there about the word law. I wanted to say that out loud too. I also told Cynthia or whoever was listening to that message that the word law also didn't feel good for me or feel right for me in my culture statement because of the conflation with laws of the land and how those have been used to oppress and control. So I was like, I don't know if I feel good about, I didn't say I don't know. I said, I don't feel good about law also being in our culture statement. And I actually Googled natural law and it came up as a philosophy that says, so I just wanted to share that too. Hearing you say everything you said, I'll say, I agree with everything you said. There's nothing you just said that I did not agree with. I want to be clear about that.
Okay.
While also articulating like the things that were, feeling that I was questioning.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to share any thoughts or feedback on this conversation before we even read Cynthia's? Because Cynthia went on ahead. You could have just said, okay, I'll wait till we get there. We can talk about it. But you went on ahead and adjusted it. Your proposal of taking out the words natural law and just added some of the principles. So you've already done it, but I still want to create space if anyone else feels like they wanted to say something about this, what we're learning about each other and how we feel about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say just like what you said, resonating. There's nothing that you said that I don't agree with, Cynthia, in terms of the principles that you just mentioned and the reasons why. Um, what I do have issue with is the word law for the same reasons Sunjata mentioned. I don't like the word law. Not that I want to be like lawless or anything like that, but and also I just think that, can you look at the shared values that we collaborated on and see the values of natural law in there?
Yeah, I do see some of them in there, like, as far as,
Thank you, baby.
freedom, autonomy, action with intention, service, all of those absolutely relate to natural law, the respect for nature,
Reciprocity.
all of those, yeah, and the shared values. I feel like there's, a lot of things that relate directly with natural law for sure in there. Yes, I do. And, like I said, I didn't have any problem with taking the word, law out, but I would, definitely like to see, because that's one of the things the controllers do. They take something that's good, that we should be honoring or respecting, and they invert it. So they took something that should be beautiful to us all, these universal laws of the universe, and something we can embrace, but they always will take things, invert it, so then that we pull away from what we should be going towards, because they've inverted it into something corrupt when it's actually something very pure.
Yeah, I also have some thoughts on universal law. Yeah, I also agree with the principles. Um, but if you ever read Octavia Butler's, oh, I forget the book. Dang. But basically, the
Parable
principle
of the
is that,
sower.
Parable of the sower.
yeah,
The
and
sower.
it's like, yeah, it's just like, and everything's always changing, right? Change is something that's always going to happen. I think she says God has changed.
Yeah.
God is
And I believe
absolutely
that the universe is always changing, like there's always change happening. Even what is considered harm, I think could be like based on perspective. So I agree with a lot of the principles of universal law, but I also don't necessarily like the word law being in the statement. And I think that when you actually look at our initial statement, that you could find a lot of the foundations of universal law. But I'm not against actually adding some of those principles in there without actually not universal, natural law. I think that we can add some of those principles in there without actually using the term natural law, because I don't think the universe would even agree with the term of law. Like it's just things that, like, things change, things that, is beneficial, that harm, like those things change. So that's just my perspective on it.
Yeah,
But
and I totally get what you're saying, and there's definitely things that change, but I would say there's things that don't change. Like murder will never be a good thing, no matter what changes. Lying will never be a positive, no matter what changes. Stealing will never be a positive, like, because the principles are so basic. They're not like for principles where it's like a lot of wiggle room. They're very, very basic, straightforward principles. But I totally get what everyone's saying, and like I have no problem at all with not using the word law, but there's multiple definitions of law, and what natural law is just something that is unchanging. It's just universal, inherent, and unchanging. That's the kind of law that refers to natural law. And I think it's really hard, I think, for people to wrap their head around, because we're so attached to man-made law, which does change. It changes with where you live, it changes with, the current societal situation, it changes all the time. And so I think I really understand where that hesitancy comes from, and I respect it. But I think it's important too that we all kind of challenge ourselves and push ourselves to start taking back some of these important concepts that they've destroyed. They literally destroyed.
Mm. This is okay, so it's a couple things going through my mind right now. If you want to be on camera, probably better sit over here if you want to be on the Zoom. Do you want to do the live stream today? You got your phone, you want to set it up or we're going?
You could just put this video on.
I did, but the only thing is the live stream, remember, that's for folks who want to be watching this right now or random people on the YouTube world. It's an office. So, you know, and I do been putting up both. So what I was saying is this, I would say, do you want to talk about that more as a topic of the dialogue on Sunday? Essentially like this whole idea of like reclaiming words and like.
We can, I think that would be a great topic to talk about because I think that's happened with a lot of things, even with morality. It's been diluted and inverted. So then we can't get a foothold anymore on things that are just very straightforward because we think everything is I don't know what word I want to use, but everything is open to, you know, all these different perspectives and open to so much change. So many things are, but some things are not. Some things are not.
Yeah. So this is juicy, right? And I kind of want to get in because actually I got some pushback on it.
Yeah.
I got some pushback on that.
Yeah.
But we don't, you know, it's not really as relevant to where we are with this.
Yeah.
So let's put a pin in it. And
Okay.
next Sunday, the next Sunday we have alternate dialogue. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, that'll be a fun
I
conversation.
like the word law. I like the word law. I think it's different from rule.
Right.
Like rule is something man enforced. Law, it is what it is.
It is, yeah. What can
You know
you
what I
do?
mean?
This is how the universe works. You
I
can't
think-
do nothing about it.
But I agree, it's a connotation to the word law, so I do understand,
is.
that's what you was
Yeah.
saying, so I do understand it, I like the word law, cause
Yeah.
it lets you know that, okay, it is what it is, this is nature, not man-made, so I get what you're saying. I think it should be included in the curriculum, like as a philosophy, if we use natural law,
I think
they
so.
kind of thought that in,
No problem.
yeah, in the
I know you're
education
saying you was worried about being on the table.
sector, because that's something that you really,
And it's still going to
It's
say something
important
about.
to understand.
that you're passionate about, so I believe that could be something that you could teach or to provide a curriculum for in our education
Oh, yeah.
sector of,
Love that.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's like too with people, I feel like that's one of the main problems with society right now is because they're unwilling to accept
Little table. in there.
natural law that, okay, we can't, this is how the universe works. We keep trying to circumvent it. No, we can just do it like this. Oh, no, we can just run all over nature. Oh, and we can just fix it. Like, we think we can do all these things outside of natural law and not suffer the consequence. Every time we will suffer the consequence because that's just karma. It's just the law of cause and effect. And if we live out of harmony with the laws of the universe, our lives will be in disharmony. And that's all that I, really, that's why I like the word law, because people need to understand that we are not powerful enough we're just part of nature, and this is nature's law. We cannot change the foundational principles and laws of this universe. So we need to find a way to live in harmony with them and embrace them. If we don't, we get what we got now. Period. We can do this forever, but this is what will always happen if you try to say, I'm gonna be more powerful than nature.
Yeah.
You can't.
All right. So for the sake of moving forward, and sometimes I gotta be the facilitator.
Okay.
I gotta be with love and respect, y'all.
Yes.
So Cynthia's proposed revisions are collectively sustainable village is a living, evolving vision of care, joy, and liberation. We are co-creators rooted in friendship, guided by love for the earth and each other. This love leads us to respect the inherent freedom and sovereignty of the individual and the collective. Our culture transitions us towards spiritual evolution, alignment with truth, self-accountability, and shared abundance. I'll highlight that that's a change right here.
Yes.
This has changed some, right?
Yes.
If we go back up, it was our culture transitions us away from oppressive systems towards spiritual alignment and abundance. The first two sentences remain the same, but then the second two sentences change in Cynthia's proposal.
Would you be able to repeat Cynthia's proposal, the change, please?
Can you see it, Kenisha?
I can't.
You can't see what I'm sharing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not able to look right now.
Okay. And then also, what's up, y'all? Anybody that's on the live stream, welcome, welcome. We're talking about our culture statement, and Cynthia's proposed some revisions to include some language, some natural law language. All right. So you can move any of these chairs if they don't want to.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So the first two sentences, collectively sustainable village is a living, evolving vision of care, joy, and liberation. We are co-creators rooted in friendship, guided by love for the earth and each other. That has not changed. All right. What has changed is the next sentence. The old sentence used to say, our culture transitions us away from oppressive systems towards spiritual alignment and shared abundance. The new proposal says, this love leads us to respect the inherent freedom and sovereignty of the individual and the collective. Our culture transitions us towards spiritual evolution, alignment with truth, self-accountability, and shared abundance.
Mm.
So, in a consent-based decision-making fashion, is there anyone who does not consent to that revision? And as a quick reminder, we all have our preferences and then we have our range of tolerance. So when I'm asking you to raise your hand if it doesn't fall within your range of tolerance, even if it isn't your number one choice. Because that's how, when you got a bunch of heads coming together, we're not going to get our number one choice often, but does it fall within our range of tolerance? If you start feeling oppressed, othered, etc., that's when it's like, I don't consent. And also, what are we consenting to? That it feels good enough for now, safe enough to try, because we can always revisit it. And that's how we keep things moving when we have, different minds. So, is there anyone who feels like this revision is not good enough for now, safe enough to try? All right, moving on to the next paragraph. The old one said, we embody peace, protection, and power with regenerating land and life through biomimicry, food sovereignty, and joyful cooperation. And Cynthia's revision for that next sentence says, we embody peace, protection, and power with regenerating land and life through biomimicry, food independence, and wholehearted cooperation.
Girl. Oh.
Instead of joyful cooperation, Cynthia exchanged joyful for wholehearted. And instead of food sovereignty, food independence.
We already had sovereignty and joy as well in the first paragraph, was another reason why I switched those words.
I do things like that too.
Yeah.
Oh, that was in that paragraph. So much changed the word up in this one.
Okay, so is there anyone who does not consent to those changes by Cynthia?
With wholehearted, joyful cooperation, like to keep the word joy in there because we had so much discussion around joy, and I love everything she added. I just like, I still want to keep the word joyful in there. Otherwise, I consent.
I was going to bring that up too. I know that there was a lot of conversation around joy. Cynthia is also saying joy is in the first sentence. So I want to share that with you, Kanisha. It says collectively sustainable village is a living, evolving vision of care, joy, and liberation.
That's what she just said, because joy was in the okay. Yeah, I consent. All right.
Anyone else want to say anything about that, or anyone who doesn't consent or have any questions for clarity? All right, so it sounds like we are all in agreement that we accept Cynthia's proposed revisions. Thank you, Cynthia, for bringing this into a fuller.
I appreciate y'all being receptive. I do. I really appreciate y'all being receptive.
And thank you for being receptive with the feedback around law. And it feels like this is like it encompasses everyone's needs in this way. So
yeah, I really love the revision. The first paragraph, like that feels more like how like I would like to make words feel more vibrant and have more feeling to it. So I love how it feels like you added more like heart to the first paragraph. So I just wanted to say that.
Appreciate that.
All right. So the next thing we have to do is we still have to agree. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't get around to it yet, y'all. Just making these into like 5. I'm sorry, we had 6 cohesive, either words or short phrases that I think we said we would like create, like choose one word and then have like the rest of them underneath of it or something for
I think
context.
you were saying that.
So we'll get back to that. I'll come up with a proposal to share with you all for that, what that could look like as a to-do. But the next thing that I would like to discuss is
That first I made is meant to be hot.
No, it tastes good how it is. For real, yeah.
Okay, because I put a lot of cheese in it, so I was like, dang, it might not be good cold.
It was okay.
Okay, all
It was
right.
good.
Mhm.
You're so funny.
Now we're ready for business.
all right. So basically, coming out of the last meeting, what we decided together was that we would work together in phases, right? And we prioritize the phases, and we said that phase 1 would be business model, economics, fundraising. Phase 2 would be framework, legal, blueprint, governance, onboarding. Phase 3, land search, housing, off-grid. Phase 4, outreach, marketing. Phase 5, after launch, culture, space holding, childcare, onboarding, education. That what would happen is for those of us who are a part of the steward group for each phase, we will work together asynchronously, coming up with our own answers to the various questions within each one, doing some side research and being ready to propose it to the group when we come together like this. Even if you're in a later phase, you can still start working on bringing forward research and proposals, but just know we're not going to all put our heads together on it until we get to that phase. Right now, the phase 1 is consenting on a business model, economics, fundraising approach. And we have our working group for that, our steward group for that. And we started with some asynchronous communication in the Heartbeat app or in the community. And I asked if we can come here and have some dialogue amongst everybody because we have some differing, I think it's just differing in terms of the way we're saying, but I think ultimately it's kind of the same. But I wanted some space for some dialogue and some deeper understanding so there's no questions. So that's kind of where we are today.
So is that what Ashley sent the other day? Is this in relation to this number 1? Because that was good. I was like, let me get on chat GPT. Like, the ideas were amazing. I was like, this is really good. Very good.
She printed it out. It's all the stuff we already doing.
It's literally, that's what I'm talking about.
Literally verbatim.
Everything.
Stuff you're doing.
Stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna put it in there for.
Where was that? I didn't see it. What was talking about?
She put a shared doc on Heartbeat and
Oh,
it was good. It was like full of ideas for that. And it
Okay.
was really good.
I gotta check it out. So in terms of like holding space for dialogue, y'all, I wanna truly, I wanna first center what dialogue is so we can all kind of put our authentic dialogue hats on, right? And typically the way that I would do that is by taking a look at the rights, responsibilities, and skills for authentic dialogue. Pull that up real quick.
Get more complaints, so I would dare say something. Somebody, I wouldn't chew it on nowhere, cause I got somebody doing complaints about chewing good, I don't even chew it no more. I said, well, dang, okay. Well, you live my life.
All right, y'all. So I'm gonna facilitate this loosely, but the general overview type of energy that we want to bring into this in terms of the rights, responsibilities, and skills for dialogue are each person has the right to define themselves without being labeled by others. I'm just going through the rights first. Each person has the right to express their beliefs, ideas, and feelings. Each person has the right to ask questions that help them understand what someone else has said. Each person has the right not to change or be coerced to change. Each person has the right to expect that what is said will be held in confidence. Responsibilities. Each person must be willing to seriously question their assumptions about the other or other perspectives. Each person must allow others the same right of self-expression that they expect for themselves. Each person should ask questions that respect the other's rights of self-definition, even in times of conflict or disagreement. Each person must accept the other as equal partners in the dialogue. Each person must agree to hold what others say in confidence. And lastly, the skills. Each person should be able to evaluate and articulate their own attitudes, values, and positions on issues within the context of the dialogue. Each person should learn how to temporarily set aside their own views and feelings in order to be more sensitive to what the other is saying. Each person should learn how to respond to questions in ways that help others understand. Each person should learn to deal with different points of view while maintaining their own integrity. And lastly, each person should learn to deal with others from a position of mutual trust based on an expectation that others come to the dialogue in a spirit of honesty and sincerity. All right. So lastly, I would just ask that we do a good job of listening to understand and, not cutting each other off and waiting until someone's done speaking. And also, keeping our perspectives relatively short so that, we have time to get everyone in and not say too much so people can hold on to the key points, et cetera. So with that said, y'all, any questions about any of that? All right.
Who brought these donuts?
Shani made them as well.
Oh, she made it?
Mhm.
Oh, she takes one. I was trying to stay away, but if she made them, I'm gonna taste that.
Yeah, she made them as one.
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it a powdered sugar one?
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Oh, yeah. I knew it all, well, like, ooh.
I'm excited now.
Yeah, we gotta tell her when we're done because
Oh, true.
Mello and Deani were already raving. Mine was amazing. The chocolate with the sprinkles was amazing. I had, so I was like, ugh. All right. So again, number one is business model. And how will we make money? How will we raise money? How will we sustain were the key questions that were raised, right? And then we got into a conversation on Heartbeat because I proposed the divestor model. Lawrence and Ashley came back with the ecotourism model.
Yeah.
And also Lawrence, one point that sticks out to me is Lawrence said people, planet, profit. And so I wanted to, let's get into more depth. I want to be able to ask like follow-up questions, and I would like for y'all to do the same. And I'll say my desire is really to be understood, right? I really want to be understood because I felt like some of the things that were said, there just wasn't room for like me to follow up with context, et cetera. Even though we've had this conversation, we all haven't had this conversation, right. And that Ashley, I don't see you, but if you're there too, I know you had some things, and hopefully we'll be able to get some clarity and understanding. And I think that the right path is going to emerge. So I guess y'all okay? Y'all want me to start, or do y'all want to start with the tourist line?
You start.
You can start.
Okay, so I have had this vision for like this divestment model, for years now. And what I mean by divestment model is this idea that what we're endeavoring to do
Appreciate you.
is walk away from the conventional world as it is as a solution. And in my mind, when I say a solution, I wasn't thinking about just a solution for us, the people that are walking out and trying to create this self-sustaining, collaborative, sustaining model together and live into this collaborative space together. It's also like a blueprint for others who also want to walk behind us, whether they join a community like that we're actually already in, or they're creating their own, similar to the model that Collective and Sustainable already has, right? I would say that my thinking about it is really radical, and I acknowledge that. And here's the radical pieces of it. The radical pieces of it for me is that I think that it's necessary. Or let me say it like this. I think that capitalism as the economic engine that drives this world is harmful to people and the environment at a baseline. I don't think there's any such thing as a conscious way of doing it. I could say there's a more conscious way, or I guess, I would say nothing safe, but safer. I guess there's a safer way, or I'll give it a more conscious way, but there isn't a way to do capitalism that is in the best interest of nature and human beings. Full stop. It's just not, and from my perspective and in my opinion. So with that being said, when I think about what we're endeavoring to do, I want to brainstorm and create it in a way where we are thinking about it at every checkpoint of how can this sustain outside of capitalism? Because it's going to be a solution that takes away from the extraction from humans and nature, and allow us to live in more alignment with our natural ways and rhythms, as well as nature's natural ways and rhythms. So with that being said, when I think about what we're doing and how we're going to do it, I think about things like minimalism, zero waste, sharing, resources, sharing our natural gifts with one another in a gifts economy, et cetera, right? That's what we're doing. That's what I look at it like we're always like every quarter, every year, every month, we're like reporting back to the public as well as divestors on before we were using this much, energy or this much that or this much that. Now we're using less because we've learned something. We've become more efficient with this. We've become more efficient with that because we're always moving towards that goal of being like in alignment with nature's natural circular economy, that the way nature operates outside of humans. So why divestors? So this is where the divestor piece comes in. And when I say divestor, we're divestors because we're divesting our time and energy away from the conventional systems to do what we're doing. But I also look at like financial divestors, meaning you don't invest in something like this because when you invest, you're looking for a return. When you divest, we're divesting, that means we're walking away. We're divesting our energy from the conventional capitalist model, and we're putting our time and energy into things like this that don't make any money. The same ask would be for those people who are abundantly resourced financially to say divest money into helping us get this off the ground without an expectation of a return. So that's when I think of divestor. It's like, it's not an investment because you're not getting any financial return on it. It's a divestment. So when I think about a divestment model, the way I thought about it is that we would come together and create this plan. I like to think of it like an unbusiness plan, and make it plain. Like all the things that we're coming together with, and we have this document that we're able to, a document here, a slideshow here, that we can go out and start talking to these people who have financial overflow and inviting them into our collectively sustainable family and saying, as a part of one of your roles as a financial divestor, because you have a heart and mind like ours, and you also have access resources financially that you can put into this so that now when we hit the go button, we don't got to worry about money. Because we got that once we write our unbusiness plan, we'll have a number, right? And then we can go to divestors until that number gets met, and then we start building. That's the way I thought about it in my mind, kind of that like startup business model. We go raise the money, and then we start, right? That's the way I've been pitching it, because I believe that I know for a fact that there's people who think like us who have access to resources. Deirdre, who's been with us, is one of them who's already committed to being a divestor. I have other divestors in my network that I know I can go to wholeheartedly, and I know that they'll divest into this. And then I've also been like collecting companies and people, like you mentioned B Corps before. I've been following B Corps for years. I figured we can not only get money, but we could also get like tools and resources from B Corps and like, products that they create that they would divest to something like this. And I was just talking to someone I know a few days ago, and he was mentioning to me that he knows several wealthy people who are miserable because they have that much money because they inherited it and it's not in alignment with their values, but yet they're in a tough spot. They don't know what to do with it. So they sit around miserable. So it's like, there's people out there who are looking for us that have the financial resources. So it makes me feel like, we can create a model in a way where we don't have to have business, I'm sorry, a money-making model. So I'll stop there because that's kind of the heart of what I was proposing. So before y'all go in where y'all want to go in, are there any empathetic questions or clarifying questions that any of y'all have for me?
So are you saying that the people that divest their money into our eco village are automatically a part of collectively sustainable, or they'll be granted membership?
I haven't gotten that far to the detail of it, but the way I look at it is like it's an invite. You know, we're not just asking you to just give dollars and go sit over there. We're saying be a part of this process with us. The same way Deirdre has been a part of the process. I would love to see that. I'm not saying everyone's going to accept that invitation. Some of them may say, I just want to give. I don't have the capacity, but I do want to divest in this. But what I'm saying is if we can show them a path, and if they want to roll their sleeves up and jump in with us, that's how I'm thinking that they can.
I would say rolling up their sleeves, knowing what we do. You know what I mean? That's where I was coming from. Like, they invest money, they become a member, and they still be hands-on with things and put in and things of that nature. So that's
I
what
would love that.
Okay.
I would love that, and I think that's the invite for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the invite. But just so y'all know, I think some of y'all do know. What's it said? Y'all know Deirdre. We've been in community with her for years. Okay, yeah, this wasn't like
I don't know.
yeah. Kanisha and I have been similar to how we've been organizing, like with a little pod of people over here.
Okay.
I organized with whole nother group of
Oh,
people.
okay.
And Deirdre's been a part of that circle.
Gotcha.
That little what do we call them? Little tribe, little crew, a micro solidarity crew that we've been organizing around these type of principles with for about 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say I resonated very highly with what you were saying. I feel like it's so in alignment with natural law and with just working, again, reclaiming, you know what I mean? Because I think once with capitalism, it just always devolves things. It just naturally devolves things. So I like it. I like it a lot, what you were saying.
Any fears or concerns? If there's no clarifying questions, any fears or concerns about the model I'm proposing?
Yeah, we won't have no money
Yeah.
to do what we want to do.
I think the biggest fear, not even fear, concern would be like, okay, I'm jumping in front. Let me ask for more clarity first, right?
I appreciate that.
Right. Do you have any kind of a model worked up so that you could really calculate, or we could really calculate divestment X equals community sustainability, like any kind of metric so that we can kind of test the theory by number as well?
No. And that's what I was hoping that as we're coming together and we're building out what our community is going to be and what it's going to need to sustain, that's the type of things that we're doing together. That's what I was hoping that would happen with our gathering.
Did the One Network
One Community Global,
did they have?
They have concrete numbers, business plans, all there. And I'm definitely leaning heavily on that. But I'm like, when we get to those parts, I was going to point to, okay, we can see what pieces and parts we can pull from theirs.
Yeah.
But they're raising 25 million.
Right.
To build, because they're trying to build like a really large
7 of them, right?
all at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm like, if we can get, I think that would be the biggest thing for me, just to have some headway, some kind of clarity as far as just numbers. Because when I think of divestors in that concept, my mind goes to finite resources, right? So they're divesting. If we're leaving the system and we're all divesting in time and attention, and they're divesting in capital, eventually that capital is going to expire. So how much do we need to get this many communities built, and then how do they sustain after the capital expires? That's kind of where I want to kind of get more footing on, because that way I can wrap my head around it a little bit more logically. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So to answer that, I would say my hope and my proposal to y'all would be, can we start with one community? And can we figure out the numbers for one community that we can go present to divestors and say, if we had this amount of money, this will help us start. And then the way that we're going to live, we imagine that our costs, as more people come in, that's more muscle, labor, energy, from human labor, energy, as well as creativity, et cetera. We're now experimenting and tinkering with, we may no longer need this. So our price is gonna go down on that. We don't, or et cetera. Or we've already built the structures, so that's the cost is gonna go away. The way we're producing food, the way we're producing this, that, and the other. Oh, we just got a relationship with this B Corp foundation that creates clothing, so we don't gotta buy that anymore. Like, I'm imagining that that's gonna be a part of what they're divesting in, not only our labor, but our innovation. The ways that we're gonna be innovating together to figure out how we can get to, when you say when the money runs dry, cool, we don't need it anymore. That's what I feel like is the magic and the innovation part of what we could come together to do that can really put a dent or really leave a mark for truly a path out for folks. And that's what I'm envisioning creating is a true path out where they can see year after year, we're not asking for more money, we're asking for less and less and less. And I feel like we can write that out and we can execute that. And we have some runway. Like, look, we need 5 years of runway, and this is how much it's going to cost. Because in those 5 years, we're experimenting, we're experimenting and we're innovating to bring costs down every year and to bring more people in that are living off the land and off of each other, or in relationship with the land and each other, and it's constantly reducing costs to the point where we can get to zero. That's what I'm like, can we write it up and put our heads together to write that up and make it plain for folks? That's what I'm proposing.
I think, yeah, I think it's a lot of, in my head, just roughly, that's kind of where my mind goes anyway. I feel like we're missing a lot of data. But I think the data that I have, I've kind of, not saying I'm throwing it out like the bath water and everything. We can definitely run it, but I think that, yeah, I think it's safe enough to try. I think it's safe enough to try.
Okay.
In real life, because we don't have the numbers, we don't have the data, so we have to go through it to get the data. There's no way to really calculate until we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, I think it would be I think it's definitely radical. I think it's definitely something that would be notable as far as our end goal. I think it's worth every amount of salt in it.
Yep.
Can I ask one question about it? So like, cause I really liked a lot of the things on Ashley's proposal. So could we still like do those things and just say, okay, it's free, but we're, if you can donate and just kind of do, because a lot of the things she was saying, that we could do, to generate income are things that I think is just good things to do anyway. You know what I mean? And we can still do them and then just have it be more donation based.
So here's what my reflection or feedback on that would be. The way I'm thinking about it is, when you think about the complexity of human beings actually living collectively in the ways that we're talking about, that takes so much time and energy. Especially when you bring in kids and like raising children in a space like that and all the time and energy that's going to take, and then just navigating our relationships of working together and interpersonal relationships of us working together. That is work. And this is one of the things, Ashley, I remember when you talked about work and I said, I agree. And I felt like I wanted to give some more clarity on what I meant by like work. Yeah, we are passionate about it, but work in terms of just time and energy, in terms of resolving conflict, in terms of, having meetings to put our heads together just to make decisions on the next step forward is going to take a lot of time and energy, right? And then beyond that, I feel like we are all conditioned to be able to put in 40 to 80 hours a week of work, because that's just been the requirements from surviving capitalism. But what if the energy that we put into organizing and sustaining, I didn't even mention, growing the food, cooking the food, tending to the land, the animals, all that's going to take time. All that effort that goes in just to sustaining our livelihood is going to take time and energy. And I use work as a short for that, right? I don't think we should have to then say, now we got to invite other people in so we can make money by teaching or, any of the ecotourism stuff. We got to host folks, we got to do workshops and stuff. that's extra work that we're built for, but that could also be time for wellness and rest and building and strengthen our interpersonal relationships that I think will add value for the modeling that we're doing for others to say, this is a safe place that people, this what we're creating, what we're living into is the effort that it takes to sustain. And then beyond that, we got more rest, more leisure, more play than conventional society. And I don't think I think that'd be a healthy thing too. And the last thing I'll say about that is one of the things that capitalism does, or let's say what's the little nuanced thing is, the less that we quote unquote work and move around, the less our carbon footprint. People aren't driving places. We're not using up resources to, have to like buy more plates, more cups, more paper to do. It's like the less we do, the greater the impact for society. If you think about like when COVID happened, how people were like, man, people aren't out on the roads, and now you see animals coming back or waterways becoming clear because the movement of humans and commerce has slowed or stopped. And it's kind of that in that mindset as well that I want to bring forward.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think collectively sustainable. I'm not gonna say I think collectively sustainable is built on teaching these sustainable fundamentals and how to be in community. I don't see that it wouldn't feel good for me for that to change. So if I build a community and I have my micro solidarity community and we don't invite people in from collectively to sustainable to see how we do authentic dialogue, how we have our sustainable community set up, how we do childcare, who's doing the childcare, what's our model for childcare. I think that is an injustice to the bigger picture, right? So I don't want to be in a community just for me to feel good. I want to be in a community that can be replicated so that we're shifting the energy of daggone the nation, of everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I want to be in a community where my kids can replicate what we have done, or they can sustain what we have already built on. So I don't see it is work, right? But this is a gift that was bestowed on to me to share. And I don't see myself stopping to share my gift, or especially if my gift can actually help sustain my community, to then just enjoy what we have created. There's going to be some kind of work. Like I look at Kanisha and I'm just like, you sure you want all these kids? Are you sure? She's like, yeah, give me all the babies. Give me all the babies. Like I'm coming to get them. But I'm sure she have times where she's just like, you know what? I just need time to myself. I need to, rest. And that's okay. Like there's going to be times when we need to rest, but to not share what we're gathering with everyone else, I don't feel good about that. So I know that it sounds like what you're saying is like, once we build us up, eventually, then we could share it with everyone else. But I think it's important to share every step of the way. I think, things get lost in translation. Sometimes I feel kind of way when people come to our farm and they see everything that's growing and everything that's implemented, and they're just like, oh, this is so cool, but they didn't see the work. Because we were working, we didn't get to, and sometimes people do, they just like, oh my gosh, I see everything has changed. This is so beautiful, and that's important to share. I want people to see that, we had a very rough property and Lawrence worked his behind off to get it to where it is now. And now other people can enjoy it, and now we can enjoy it. So I don't see anything wrong with that. Personally, yeah, I propose that wherever we go with our agribusiness, that we make it a retreat where we're enjoying it every day. So when we have to work, it doesn't feel bad. You get what I'm saying? Like right now, if I feel like I need to go on a vacation, I'm going to a mini cabin. Before I was going into my RV. Boom, I'm on vacation. So I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but That's it.
No, we ain't get a chance to kind of say.
So Ashley, oh, sorry, was somebody about to speak?
Well, Lawrence was saying, that was kind of like Ashley's response to me was kind of like with her proposal. Is that what you're saying? Like,
Yeah.
it was kind of a both and. And so that's fine. I can hold that. I can hold that. I hear everything you said loud and clear, Ashley. In terms of like what you're advocating for us considering around the whole idea of an agribusiness. Can I ask you this, Ashley? Is there anything about my proposal, or maybe you said it, I want to make sure I'm hearing you clearly. Based on my proposal, I guess what your concern is that we're not bringing people along the way with us based on what I've articulated so far. That's your concern. And then you paint the picture for how you would like to bring people along with us. Is that fair?
Yes, pretty much. I just think that everybody's not going to be able to replicate getting money from divestors. You know what I'm saying? So some people really they're going to be in community, like they're going to be building we started from the ground up. We're just getting to the point where we can get divestors. And then we have to think about economy and money. That's a whole nother subject. But I think we're in a perfect space to get divestors, but a lot of communities that's coming after us are not. So we have to teach them ways to be sustainable, and getting divestors can help build, but it's not sustainable at all. But I agree with using them and, helping us, because we already have the model in play. So that's it.
Okay, so I want to respond to that. Thank you. So a couple of things that came to mind for me when you said that, everything you said is, I agree with everything you said in the first, portion of what you shared. And the way I was thinking about that is that we would continue to have a collectively sustainable model, and that we would share everything we're doing. One, we can continue to live stream. That could be public facing for anyone who wants to follow the journey. Even when we're on our land, we can have some cameras, different days, we just share it. That's a part of like the whole outreach, right? But in addition to that, the same way collectively sustainable is already set up, there will continue to be lighthouses and stewardship centers, et cetera. And as micro solidarity groups start emerging, like ours has emerged, it's like we're knocking on the door of one to start our own. Or I'm sorry, before we get there, anyone that's a part of collectively sustainable, in my mind, they're welcome. It's like we can always, like you said, retreat, just come and model, just come be with us, roll your sleeves up, like learn by doing. We can have like immersive visitors. What I was saying was what I was proposing against was a business model where we're charging outside people, whether they be in collectively sustainable or elsewhere, as a way to generate money. That's what I was trying to say. Can we try the other way first of finding a divestor so we don't have to rely on outside people who are curious or interested in this type of thing, whether they're outside of collectively sustainable or not, to have to come and pay us money for us to sustain. That's what I wanted to try to go against. I'm totally okay with collectively sustainable members being a part of, coming to see, rolling their sleeves up with us, being immersed and being on that same trajectory. And let's continue to have collectively sustainable the way it is now. And it's always that, that next level up that people are moving through and learning back the basics. And I see all that continuing. And then the next thing I'll say, I wanted to say that, Ashley. And then about the idea that, divestors is like, everyone doesn't have divestors. I believe that the way that I personally would approach divestors is, and I'm saying me, but I think me now, but I think there's other people who may have a similar energy, that outreach energy around going to get money the way that I have it, is that we're talking to them about collectively sustainable. We're talking to them about the stewardship centers and the lighthouses and the stewards and the app. And we're talking about investing in a whole ecosystem. So there's so much money out there, y'all. Like, full stop. People throw away millions of dollars every day. There's a whole nother world out there. I work for a company. I work for a family. This is kind of giving me even more insight. Who great grandfather started a business in like 1911, and all the descendants as a family are now managing the returns of all of that. And I've been working with that family for the last 2 to 3 years. And when they sold the company, they were doing like let's just say they sold the company probably for like billions of dollars, and now all the descendants, it got dispersed through them, and they're just wealthy, and I'm sitting in meetings with them doing alternate dialogue about how it's stressful to them that they have all this money and how they don't fit in with society, and they have to hide their true identity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I say that to say, and there's one of the family members who's like, give it all away, divest it all. And they go back and forth about all these things. I'm in a relationship with those people. That's one of my little insight groups of people that I hear things, and I'm like, there's so much money out there that people don't even know what to do with. And we can go get it. That's how I feel. Not just our community, but collective sustainable as a whole. And I guess what I'm asking for the group is, it's like, can we try it, right? And if we get to a point where it's like, there's not enough money coming in, or there's not enough divestment, energy, and et cetera, then it's like, we could always fall back on the ecotourism business model. But I'm like, I would love to say, with our planning meetings, we write up the plan, make it plain, crunch all the numbers, get it all, take it to these various divestors and receive it. See if we're getting any energy in the direction of what I'm proposing and what I'm believing and envisioning that we can do.
And I'll add on to that. So within my range of tolerance is the divestment concept. But outside, it's like, I think we need to have ecotourism for collectively sustainable, basically help mold it off ecotourism. Like for people coming out to the farms and learning the concepts, and for collectively sustainable to be successful, we need more people.
I'm sorry, y'all. I can't hear you, Mello, and I really want to hear you.
Okay. So basically I was saying what's in my range of tolerance is the divestment model. But what's outside of my range of tolerance is us cutting out ecotourism. Because I feel that ecotourism helped collectively sustainable get this momentum. And I think it's needed for collectively sustainable to carry on its mission. So I think there's space for both the divestment model and still having the ecotourism. It's pretty much like yin and yang. You could kind of get those to work together. That's what I'm thinking. But I think we still, back to the basics, what the SEALs have already been doing to get collectively sustainable there, that's still needed to be, what we call it, implemented.
I
So
want to definitely hit my position too, just.
okay, I'm done. But that's why I stand on it. Like I said, I agree with what you're saying, but we could still marry the two together.
Yeah, you're talking about because a few moments ago, I did say back to basics, all that stuff is needed. You're saying from a money making, you wanted to make money.
Yeah, so that way the mission could be sustainable and the finances could be sustainable as well. So I think.
Are you saying that you don't believe, when you say finances can be sustainable, are you saying because you don't believe we can get enough money from divestors that we would need finances from ecotourism?
I think we could use both of them. And then even if we could get the money from both of them to expand to help other communities as well. So I think both of them could be used to the divestment model. And because we still gonna have, in a sense, for lack of a better term, it's capital. I mean, because we're receiving money, but at the same time, we still need to be sustainable. You know what I mean? I view money as tools or resources to get other resources. And I believe we still have to have that engine to gather more resources to help more people. You see what I'm saying?
I do. And I guess I think that's the perfect point for me to make my last point, and then I'll let y'all really go in on y'all point. But I want to make it to that point. I'm glad you said it that way. And I'll be able to ask questions when y'all say stuff too. But my last point is, I think that we're all dreaming about a post-capitalist future. And at what point are we going to draw that line in the sand and say, yes, we are post-capitalist? That's the last thing I'll say, is because whenever you say, I accept that when you say we have to make money to be sustainable, you're not there. And that's okay. And that's what I want to get clarity on. Is like, I just got to know y'all just aren't there and I got to accept that. Or do y'all truly want to be, or is there anyone here that truly wants to live post-capitalist?
Can I don't know what I mean, but me personally, I feel that capitalism is a mind state. If you're getting money to do good for other people and to help out other people, I don't believe that's like the capitalism that we're trying to escape from. I think the capitalism we're trying to escape for is taking advantage of people. If we use this money as resources to help the people and to learn these ways of life and learn how to sustain, we could eventually move away from money. But I think the biggest thing with capitalism is really a state of mind. Because when you're playing a game with somebody, I mean, you're trying to capitalize off what they're doing, but it's to help them get better in a sense. So it really just depends on how you do capitalism. So
Well,
I think that's something we have to really,
Even economics.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That function.
yeah.
So I think I need to start saying, to be clear on my point, is post-extraction. Because
Okay.
when you talk about, we're using capitalism, but I'm using capitalism as I guess, a generalist word for the activities that it takes to get dollars and cents. You're either extracting, in most instances, we're over extracting from nature in terms of natural resources, or we're over extracting from human labor to get that said dollars to then pay for X thing. So it goes deeper in terms of what capitalism is an engine for, when literally no other species on this earth needs to over extract to get their basic needs met. The humans have created this mechanism where there's now like industries and jobs and all these things where people are taking from the earth to create jobs. But really what you're doing is you're over extracting from the earth through consumer, you're promoting consumerism, you're promoting hustle culture, and all these things that again hurt the environment and hurt humans in order to have these dollars. So if we're recipients of said dollars, we're participating in that extraction. And it goes, I could tie it to, you know, how it impacts the global south, because they're typically the places like they're tearing down the Amazon to build,
But I think
et
that's.
cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can go far, far,
So
far, but I'll
could
stop
you
there.
link that to collectively sustainable in that vision of agritourism and education? Because in fact, that would be the top end of what you're saying. It'd be flipping capitalism in that framework on its head, because not only are you pouring money into a system, it's a system that's teaching other people how to be stewards.
Mhm.
And this is the biggest gap that we have right now. It's a lot of people who consume without understanding, right? Consume without consciousness. And we're saying this is the way we can sustain ourselves in an ethical way while being a lighthouse for people to come learn how to do what we do. And if it's they say an even swap ain't no swimming, right? So unethical capitalism is what I always say we're getting away from. Capitalism is simply a form of trade. And even before capitalism, it was fish for bread. It was grain for sugar. Even animals are mutual components of that endeavor as well. It's animals that sit on the back of the rhino, birds that, right? So that's nature. Biodiversity is nature. We can break it down because they all fundamentally pour into the same ecosystem, but they all have to pour in as much as they can to sustain each other. So it's the same concept. It's always a trade in nature. The plants don't even eat until they exchange the sugar with the microorganism. That's their trade. So the synthesizing is not for the plant, it's to feed the microbes in the soil. We have to have trade to have order. Trade is already naturally on us, right? And even with equality, we can't have trade. Well, I'm gonna say that's what we're aiming for, is an equal trade. And that's where capitalism has framework to where I can sell you an apple and I'm not gonna go around and sell the same apple to somebody else for a different price. So that's like more like moral compass within capitalism, but the framework is still there. It's honest, it's true. It's to say this apple is worth this to the consensus of the community. And you can't go over it just because you feel like it. We're holding you to this cultural standard. So if I could segue into the proposition that I got dressed up for it. So I believe, and like I know you like to say both and now lately, both and. And I'm like, we can definitely do it. I think the thing that I want to nail down is impact, right? We're looking for impact now. I want to change lives now. I don't want to wait until we get the money, because we figured out the rhythm is doing what we're doing now. Without them, a lot of us are already bartering our skills and our services. We're living in the dimension that we're calling for. We're not we can bring people and they can see it. And it's still, we're overstepping capitalism that way, but what if we could extract some funds where we could at least, make our mortgage and things like that? That's righteous in my point. And again, it's like we're multiplying our culture every time we do it. If we can get a divestor to come in, and this is kind of where the divestment comes in for me, I see a divestment being more impactful to build more stewardship centers, because we know that the community doesn't have to be geographically tied to one piece of land. We all live in different spaces. But if we all seek to be collectively sustainable and offer what we have, we're still impacting the culture in a terrific way. And I think, again, with divestment in that capacity, before we run out and go grab acreage and build micro cabins and show this fully sustainable geo-specific location, I feel like the impact can be measured in a more abundant way if we just broke it apart and dished it out across the nation and showed our culture. And I think with that cultural shift, that's really what we're aiming for, is a cultural shift. And I think everything else will fall in line after we get our minds right. But I don't think capitalism in a nutshell is the enemy. I think the system that we're in is the enemy, and we're showing a different way to utilize the system and still build a parallel economy and a system at the same time. And again, I think it can go nationwide, it can go worldwide with no money. We tell people you can do it right now with the bills you already pay. You start to, collaborate with other folks, and I ain't gonna bore y'all to tears with the talk, because y'all already
Yeah, we know. Can I ask you a clarifying question? So what are you saying? Like, what you're saying to me, it sounds like you're talking about collecting sustainable as it is and as it's operating, the model that's in play.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate? That what you were just saying in terms of the global impact, dispersing? Am I correct in that that's what's already been happening and that's what's already in motion?
Without waiting for divestment.
Without waiting for that, that's been in motion, right?
Without waiting for divestment.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you share how, in the context of village planning, how that lines up? Because what I'm thinking about is, is the location, is the living into something collectively together outside of, collectively sustainable, still sustaining and doing what it's already doing. So how do you see that connected to this conversation?
So it's the same framework. So the stewardship center construct, that will be the edifice of what I'm talking about. So that is our mechanism that can make a unit sustainable. So right now we're operating as a stewardship center, and it's multiple moving parts. But this is kind of like the pre-game before the real game. I believe that we have to, again, nail down a cultural edifice before we get the land as the mecca, the end game, because once we get the land, it's still a lot more to go. It's still a lot more work to be done. And I'm like, right now, the stewardship center and its components functioning as everybody adding in the value to make it sustainable, this can be dropped into a village, but the village can't build itself without having that first. So that's still a true to life concept. The stewardship center fundamentally sustaining itself on agritourism and education. And I say people, planet, profit. Agritourism and education, everybody's looking shifty-eyed at the food system right now. Economy is looking crazy. So I wouldn't even build our vision based on somebody divesting, because the dollar today might very well not be the dollar 2 years from now, 2 months from now. It can tank direct. We're already in hyperinflation. So that money might not get as much. It can qualify. I mean, it can look good, but it might not translate the same. And Planet, again, we're teaching. So we're getting funds, we're extracting these funds from divestors or investors. Either way, we can look at it both ways. Some people come to things and they already know how to make it. Some people come because they're learning. Some people just want to support. Some people are paying for a service. And again, I think that that's one of those things, the mechanism to make things sustainable is supply and demand. And I think right now we're at a huge demand for people to learn how to work the land and be sustainable. Why not the stewards and the people who really have great intentions with pouring back into the earth and co-creating and reducing carbon footprints? Why not fund these people and give them a leg up to kind of sustain themselves while pouring into their community and kind of transmuting the energy of the culture that we're So I just think that part is still essential because we're building it right now with nothing. And if we shift it from that, when we get a piece of property, it doesn't really make much sense with that divestment model being the centerpiece. This agritourism model is showing that it's tried and true and it has numbers behind it. And I just feel like that's a more intentional way to step forward into calling something in new by like actually having the footstep. And I'm saying we're doing this now. We can still add in the divestment model while we calculate the numbers as we're still building. So the only thing I'm saying is we're not doing divestment and then the agritourism stuff as a backup. No, we're already here. The divestment is something that we can peek into to see if it's safe enough to try and gather details and data. But the economic model that we present right now as collectively sustainable today works. And it's impactful.
I'd be interested to hear what anybody else had to say, like what y'all, how y'all are interpreting what we're both saying, and any connection points.
I think they can go together. I think it's a very cohesive thing. I don't think we have to choose.
Right.
I think we can bring both of these things together and it will work
Exactly.
really well.
I think is it a matter of us figuring out how we can bring those together? I think that's what we may need to kind of
Figure out,
Yes,
right.
yes, to
Get
clear.
clarity on.
And I
Yes.
do have a proposal.
Can I say something? It's been kind of hard for me. I can't really.
You can't hear?
No, it's just I've tried to say something like for a long time and I haven't. So I'm like, let me just say, can I say something?
Thank you, 'cause go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just trying to get clarification on what I'm hearing. So I'm hearing that it does sound like people are okay with both ends, and I'm hearing that it sounds like people are okay with like the divestment idea that Sunjata is presenting, and post-capitalism, but that the collectively sustainable model is the model that is essential right now for the groundwork and for the healing and the wellness and the learning that needs to take place in order for us to become collectively sustainable. And I'm trying to clarify if I hear a transition point into the post-capitalist model that I hear Sanjay mentioning. Like, do I hear a transition point that you feel like the both and could be now, and then transitioning to post-capitalism, like if that works, and then eventually, like if there's a need for more income, then we still use like the collectively sustainable model. But if we can completely get away from money and extracting from the earth and from human labor, that everybody would be okay with transitioning from needing money as a resource. But for now and during the transition, that everybody's feeling the need to do both. I was just trying to clarify if that's what I was hearing.
Definitely straddling the two dimensions, and I think we would be almost like how you refer to in your walkout method. I think we would be the bridge culturally. We're still here and available, but we're showing y'all the culture of this new place. And again, I think it's going to be stronger when we have more people.
So I guess I heard both of y'all kind of advocate for like there are some positives in capitalism. Are you saying that you said conscious capitalism, and you heard me say I don't think there is one.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that there is a direct ask is, can you see a post-capitalist reality? Can you see us living into a model that is post-capitalist? Or are you saying, I think there will always be a need for some form of capitalism? I would like a direct answer to that.
I feel like there will okay, I'm not going to say capitalism, right? I don't know if that could be a different word, right? We play the word game a lot.
Yeah, like
trade.
Like money.
Trade.
Right.
I would say that there's going to always be a direct need for trade because nature says so. And if we're using biomimicry as a part of our edifice, I'm going to follow what nature does.
So, okay.
Do you feel the direct need for trade will always have to include money?
No, that's what I'm saying. We're doing it right now. So we're living the model that that you're proposing, literally right now for our programs, we don't accept money from our presenters. They get to rent the space for free in exchange of doing a class for us. So we're exchanging already with no money. Some people are making breads and things and coming to get classes, or we're already doing it. But that's a valued system. Somebody approached me and asked me, could I do something for 10 okra plants? I declined. I don't eat okra. It has no value in my home, right? So I still need a value system in place, right? And what if I say, hey, this class is worth this many tomato plants, but since I don't like okra, you got to give me 100 of them. That's not right. But the value isn't in place. So that's what the framework that I'm speaking of when I mean trade.
Right. And I think it's like, again, we're conflating different words because for me, I think you're saying what I'm saying, you're just saying it in a different way. Because to me, that's not capitalism.
Yeah, it's not.
That's not capitalism
Right.
at all, what you just said.
Right.
And it is a form of trade and the value exchange. And it's a form of, no, it's not gifts economy. It's more barter. It's a barter thing, right? So you have the exchange of capital, dollars and cents. You have barter where we're exchanging for like what's equal value. Then you have the gifts economy. The gifts economy is more based on, if I do something for you now, I trust that it will come in from return to me from someone else within our network of in the gifts.
Yes.
Like, so it's different, right? So what I hear you saying, Lawrence, is that you're speaking more of the barter trade world. And what I'm asking and what I'm proposing is that we use divestment dollars to give us the space to live into the gifts economy, where it's like, I know that if I breathe out this carbon dioxide, it's going to feed some plant. I don't know which one, but some plant's going to get some food for photosynthesis. And I know some plants going to put out some oxygen that I'm going to receive. And I don't know who to say thank you to. I don't know what, but it's happening without me thinking. And I believe that if you get enough humans together in community, just the way that we wake up and want to do life is going to automatically meet the needs of each other. Because some of us love to cook, and some of us love to play in the dirt and grow things, and some of us love to facilitate, and some of us love to resolve conflict, and some of us love to build and fix. And I'm not keeping score because you might cook a meal one day, and I'm like, yo, I love it. I'm not saying you'll cook. I'm not trying to gender.
I feel like yes, love food.
So you might cook something one day, right?
Right.
And I'm like, that was so good, that was so amazing. And the next day, you might somebody might build you a garden box that you need over there. That's kind of like you're getting reciprocation for the time and energy you put over here for planning these beautiful meals, these wonderful, delicious, and nutrient-given meals. But your needs are being met around fixing things or garden boxes or whatever over there. It's not a direct one-to-one. What you're talking about is direct one-to-one.
Quantification.
Right. So nature, the way nature works is in the gifts economy. Everything that's happening out there is in the gift. But again, I just wanted to bring clarity to how we're talking about these things. And everything you said about the nutrient, that's in the gifts economy. Everything you mentioned about basically mutualism, and symbiosis, all that happens in the gift. It's a natural way of being and needs getting met, etc.
Yeah.
So I understand. And I think what I hear you saying also is collectively sustainable with the current economic model that's in place, needs to continue to be the forefront of what's going on. I think I also hear you, which I think, did y'all hear me say that I think that that's the case? I want to make sure that's not something y'all feel like I'm saying it doesn't need to be the case.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think also what I'm hearing is like, yes, we're willing to, or you're saying, I'm willing to build this unbusiness model, make it plain, and see what we can go out and get from a divestment standpoint to build a geolocation as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm merely saying that we have a huge advantage over somebody else replicating. We've literally been working for years together. And I'm like, it's easy for us to say it because we've laid a lot of the foundation, but we're doing the work trying to get people set up in other cities and other states. And it's harder for them to replicate because they can't see it yet. So that divestment model, I just feel like it'll be a little heavy for somebody to really functionally propose and execute. We literally saw the backtracking happen from the 87 acres and really understanding that the land isn't the goal, it's the mentality of the people. getting more people with the same mentality, you can build that paradise and that functioning element anywhere.
I agree.
But I think that's going to be where we really have our journey. Like that's what we should dump all of our funds and intention into, is creating framework spaces where people can come in and filter out of the system. And then we can move into a gifts economy because everybody understand their value, their innate gifts, because we're filtering them through here and we're affirming it. Right? People want to keep kids. We say, yeah, come on, bring your child here for our paid program. And in exchange, you're going to take our kids to the skating rink. We're doing it already. I cut somebody's yard and break his leaves and he cook a slab of ribs. It's already happening without even asking. So it's the real gifts economy. But I think for the most part, a lot of our societal norm is not prepared for the gifts economy. And we think more in numbers. And I think just having something framed up for people that's a little bit more tangible that they can touch and feel and understand can lead them into that process a little bit easier, at least while we kind of recondition ourselves as far as a system.
So I guess my confusion as I'm listening, it feels like there's still something where well, I'll say you because you're talking now, like you're even leading up to now. And now it's like, I don't know, it feels like there's something's missing in terms of like, there's like a defense, you're defending that against what I'm saying. And I don't understand why.
Well, okay. So our model is intended to be replicable. So I don't want to take somebody into the gym and show them that I bench 500 pounds and tell them, hey, come on, do it too. I'd rather work with them up. And I feel like buying a property of 100 acres, whatever we need, and building these cabins and doing all the things, putting it based off somebody else's money, and then saying, hey, look what we did. I just feel like it's not as accomplishable for somebody else who's not in the same position, who has been building a community for years. We're trying to impose on somebody who just wakes up tomorrow and says, this is the movement, and I can fit in here and do this now.
That's what I think that's the rub right there. That's the rub. And I think that's what you were saying too, Ashley, in your messaging in the group as well. And some of what you were saying today, I think that's the rub. That's the part that I think feels the most uncomfortable for y'all. It's just like, it feels like a privilege that Sunjata's saying he can go out and attract money because he has relationships and everybody can't do that. That's what I feel like I think I'm hearing.
No, incorrect. I'm speaking
and
more.
It's not duplicatable.
Yeah, that
it's not duplicatable.
That too, but also our internal community. I mean, that's the strongest resource we have. Before the money, it's still the people.
Okay, I hear you. Yep. I hear you, Lawrence. It's because that's been my whole pushback. While I fully agree with the divestment idea, and I fully believe that one day it will be fully funded and we won't have to like immerse in hustle culture. And I feel like we need wellness now, and the community provides that, and that to wait is not something, like that's why the both end comes in for me. Like to wait to see when that happens is the only thing that I don't agree with. But Sunjata also said he feels good about the both end, but just with the desire to know if we can move toward a post-capitalist future. But while, in the now, definitely I hear you, it feels like necessary to for the people right now, like to, and not having the community and support that we need. And like you said, we've been doing it. So now we have a little bit more support. I know I'm a lot lighter than I was years ago because of this community, whereas a lot of people are still in the initial stages of that and finding that and the feelings of oppression that come with that and how hard it is to like create what we're trying to create when you're in that initial stage. Did I hear that right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And that's it. And not to say we can't do it. I think we would be the ones to really kick it off. We're the best suited. But
Right.
we're doing that before we really establish what our community is, then that can be sensationalized first. And they don't know that we've been doing this for years and years and years of building this framework and doing it with what we have, where we are right now. That's the most impactful thing. I just think this is more impactful right now to kind of establish as a base framework.
You Du Bois, Booker Washington type thing. Yeah, I know. It's
And when I hear the base framework, I'm hearing you talking about like the skill shares, right? Us collaborate, like the mutualism, which is what I also feel into when I hear Sunjata, as the base framework is the mutualism that we're creating. But I think maybe what I'm also hearing is you saying like we need the more people to create more mutualism, so that we can so the benefits can show more, and then that would be more attractive to the divestors.
So the way I always understood it, and the reason why I feel like I know you catching my faces, I'm like, is because I thought this was already happening. Like I've seen like two tracks. The collectively sustainable track has already left the building, right? And then to bring context for anyone who's watching this later, we started CGE in 2020. Lawrence, Ashley, Kanisha, myself, and a couple other folks, this whole collective governance economy, we put up a whole plan. We would meet every Sundays with food, the same what we're doing right now. We started doing this back in 2020. Then that eventually morphed to something else. 87 acres will jump there, right? I'm sorry, homesteading,
I was gonna say, even before that,
y'all were homesteading.
Grow Interconnected.
We had Grow Interconnected. We had the Grow Unschooling program. We've been organizing and collaborating since 2018.
Yeah.
And then it's had several iterations of us organizing and collaborating. So that's what Lawrence is pointing to. Like we have this experience doing this, right? And we've had iterations. We've learned from mistakes. We've taken up, every iteration is based on something we've already learned, we've tried. So for me, that train has already left the station. And in its current state is collectively sustainable. That train is moving. And everything that you said and Ashley said, and what you said, Mello, that's already happening in terms of the back to the basics and the ecotourism and et cetera, and the modeling of said experience is already happening, and that story can be told. Here's what I think I'm saying. And whenever you say like more important, that's throwing me off too, because in my mind it's like, why does one have to be more important than the other? Because it felt to me like when we all agreed to create this village planning is that we were going to do them simultaneously. That's the way I was feeling.
That was my understanding too. That's what I'm saying. I don't feel like
saying.
the two things have to clash at all. They're both going in the direction we want to go in general, and they both complement each other. And
that's where I would like some clarity, or I'll just say I don't understand. Your energy feels to me like this is more important. And I'm like, I thought it was that track is moving. I'm still doing how we get free Sundays. You still doing what you're doing. Like everything's still moving. But then I'm like, village planning is coming and it's also moving. And a part of that story for everyone that we're trying to be real with, they will know. It took us 7 years to get to the point where we doing village planning and we were able to pull in some divestment. It took years of building relationships, bringing some more like-minded, like-hearted people into our space, et cetera. Like a lot of people have come and gone over those 7 years. Look who's remaining. Like so much stuff. Like that's a part of the story of this train.
Yeah.
That can be told. And it's like, don't hop onto this train unless you put in that and you got these type of relationships. For me, that's all a part of what we're going to write in the plan.
Yeah.
So I want to understand the more important energy.
People, resources. Even if we wanted to go get land right now, do we have the people? So we have more of an explicit vantage point because we actually are working on the land, working from the land, consuming from the land. We know what it feels like, how much time it takes. And I'm saying from my vantage point as the educator of people, we don't have enough people right now.
Okay, boom. So in my mind, we don't hit start on this thing until we have enough people and money on this village train. Right. I mean, the village lane. we're not buying land, we're not, like, all those things have to come into place. And for me, that's a part of what we're building over here, is building capacity in both ways.
Mhm.
As we're writing out this plan, we're gonna realize very soon, like, what people do we need?
Right.
That's gonna come a part of it, right? And I feel like all that's gonna emerge naturally as we continue to put our heads together.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just saying this thing that's rolling is doing that.
Absolutely, because that's how
So
they
it's,
get here.
it's the funnel to get people. So we're
Absolutely.
here still docked. So we're just
Absolutely.
working on this thing. This thing is
Absolutely.
rolling. So I'm like, we just need more people. The
Mhm.
more people we unearth, the stronger this train gets, like, to take off.
Agreed.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying,
I understand that.
yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying too?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Because the way I was.
Yay!
No, seriously, like what you're saying in terms of the concern about we don't have enough this, enough that. I'm saying, can we write the plan so we can make it plain? So we're not saying we don't have enough people. We're saying we need this many people because they're gonna have these roles.
Yeah, yeah.
And we need this much money.
And we even have it down already in like a structure per like 5 acre block. Like that's how we built it up. That's how I know the numbers in a certain degree and what kind of personnel we need. So it's kind of like for the 87 acres, that's what it was. It was literally drafted to show the prototype in real life. And that's where I learned that lesson.
Mhm.
Man, we didn't really have the amount of people. I would have been swallowed up.
Yeah.
Swallowed up because I would have been the only one able to do it.
Right.
So I learned from that endeavor, back up, hold up, build the framework a little bit more rugged, more sturdy, collapsible, foldable, movable. Now we ready. And it's kind of like, that's where we at right now. So I definitely agree. And both and. I like the divestment model. I just think if we get a divestor, then they're going to be looking for the village. But we're not ready. That train is still it's still getting worked on. We're not ready for that yet. But if we do accept a divestor, could they fund the stewardship center concept that brings more people in, thus making this thing more capable and ready to execute?
So that's like a separate, I hear that too.
Yeah,
To me, that's like, we can talk about, do we need to build that into we may need to just build that into the unbusiness plan, or do we just need to build and having a conversation about going after divestors for that and then going after other divestors for this, or somehow just build it. I think we can build it into the whole unbusiness plan, honestly. I think it can be built in. So that again, when people like me in my role and other people who may take on this role are going and knocking on those doors, we're like, here. And then the divestor can say, I'm interested in this part, and yes, I'll fund that. Or we can say the first X amount of dollars goes towards that. And then it starts filtering into this. I feel like that's all a part of what we're going to be coming together to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so if we're answering these questions, just to kind of bring it all home, business model economics, how will we make money? Are we on the same page in saying that it sounds like we're on the same page and saying we're willing to continue to make, again, for me, we're only talking about village planning. Let me just say that, right? How will we make money? It sounds like we're on the same page of the divestment model for making money and raising money and sustaining. It's like the divestment model. We're also talking about, we're on the same page about we want to continue to transition from capital and exchange for energy and goods to the transition to more bartering and trade in exchange for energy and goods towards the gifts economy and time for exchange of energy, time and goods and resources from other people. It sounds like we're on the same page on that too, right? Like that's a transition that we're moving towards.
Framework of the transition. Yeah.
And collectively sustainable, that train as it currently is, it is a moneymaker, and that's okay. And we're gonna keep that as a moneymaker. We want to get funding for the stewardship centers. That's still a priority. We understand that. And in terms of the village model, we're open to trying to get divestors to fund those activities as well, while understanding that collectively sustainable is the engine for bringing in the people that's going to help get this train from dock as well. We need money and people to get the village dock going, and we understand collectively sustainable as it currently is, as the model currently is, as all inclusive of money, all the different exchanges, is helping to funnel in people and resources to help get this going. But ultimately, we do envision that if, I hate to say the word, when we get enough money and people from divestments, from people, because people gotta divest. And we need dollars that get divested into the dock of the village. We're good with that too, of saying that's when this goes. Does that kind of make sense? Anyone say something don't line up with that? Go ahead, y'all.
It seems like we got eco village and collectively sustainable. I think we have to talk in terms as it being one thing. Are we trying to connect both of them? Like, because we're saying divestment, eco village, and we saying like collectively sustainable, then that's where we get into like the mission and stuff. It just it's just friction I'm feeling.
Yeah, I think it is separate to a certain degree, because this would be an example of village within the village, like micro solidarity.
Okay.
So what we're proposing is, after you find your community and you galvanize this community or exercise in community, then you go out and buy land as a community, if you so choose, right? Is that what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
So it is kind of part and parcel.
Okay.
Collectively sustainable can function just as it is right now.
Right.
But if we do create a group and we're all interested in buying land and move, then now we can create the village to kind of be a prototype for what it looks like to be sustainable through this cultural norm that we're shifting.
Okay.
And then the way I see it is Stewart Lighthouse Stewardship Center Village.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or let's say this instead of the hierarchy, I'll go with like.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
That's
because
how I
they
see it.
all feed each
Each
other,
other,
right? And I think definitely I feel like it's connected, and I feel like when you go after this divestment money, you can give people the option, do you wanna divest in this part, or just give us money and let us use it the way we see fit?
yeah.
Because there's lots of organizations that let you pick and choose, or they just say, take the money, do whatever you want with it. So that way we can be funding all of it, because we need way more people that understand people's mindsets are not even close to ready for what we're doing.
Right.
So we have got to work on that as we're building, not like as we're building, we have got to be like double timing it, bringing people out of this sleep that they're in. And educating them and exposing them to just a new way of living that they probably have never even imagined. Because even with me, as aware as I am, it didn't really feel super real to me until I went to their farm. And I was like, yeah, this is not a fantasy. This is not a fantasy. This is real. It was tangible. I'm standing here, I'm looking at it, I'm eating the food. And it just became real on a different level where I was like, I'm doing this. I'm making this happen in my life. And so I think, yeah, it's a circle. It all feeds each other. And the more people we bring in, it will grow exponentially, because when people get that taste of that and see how much better they feel in every way outside of capitalism, in the grind and the hustle, it'll grow exponentially.
Ashley, where you at? You got anything? This is landing, is it making sense? You feel like it's all coming to coherence, or do you still have questions?
No, it sounded good to me.
I hear you, Deanna, as well. Where you at with it? You feel like you got any questions for me? You feel like we clear on where we
No, absolutely.
where we need to line up?
Yeah. I think first things is voice and getting them numbers so we can define the village. I think so we can see the divestment to village ratio. It's like first stop for me, just like we doing all these numbers, we need to be doing that too, so we can start to crunch them to make sure this concept can last, can sustain, can spread. What's the new word you like? You regenerate.
Yeah, regenerate.
Right? So we got to make sure it can regenerate. That's data.
So I think what I'm hearing, again, phase one, business model, economics, fundraising. Again, to make it plain, the next thing we got to do is start with the funding that you are claiming that is needed. And when I say claim, I mean you're like calling it in.
Yeah.
For the stewardship centers.
The village. What you saying?
What I'm saying is, what I think I hear you saying, in terms of us bringing it all together and we're on one track, instead of the whole 2-track model, right? The 1 track is write this in a way where it's like, because you already had the numbers for stewardship center, you already got that. Let's put that first in terms of business model. Funding for the stewardship centers is X amount of dollars, full stop. Just come up with a number, like how many stewardship centers that you would want funded, you know, whatever that is right now, is like, that'll be enough of a foundation to give us the network that we need to sustain the impact that we want to make.
Yes.
That goes first here. And then after that comes, now we go, and we'll write, this will sustain this community steward centers. This is what stewardship centers do. This is how it serves the mission. Then beyond that, now we're into the divestment model.
Right.
Now we're into the next phases of these elements for the village, the village element of it all.
Yeah.
So basically, we're drawing a line from where collectively sustainable already is into the village part of it, coming into the next phases.
Right.
Because I think that, again, that's where we're gonna need to talk about, you know, everything that's gonna be needed in order to like be in legal framework, 501c3, et cetera, blah, 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 you know, all the governance, all the onboarding things about, look, it took us 7 years of relating, and this is what we had to do, and this is the type of time and effort that got put in. That's like the onboarding conversation type stuff, right? So, and then we're firmly into village. That's how I'm thinking about it, right? So the business model, we agree, is collectively sustainable as is. Divestment is going to sustain, is going to get us going in the village. And now we just need to come to here. It's like we agree on that.
I have a proposal, by the way.
And I know we're over time too, but I mean,
It's kind of off the ledge, it may be too radical for some. How do y'all think about each putting our properties in a community land trust that's gonna build its net worth and use that as an asset to go to divestors or to get like grants or small loans? Let's say if you put your property, it could be 900,000. And we could, just like other people, how they take their net worth and use it against a loan
from the trust.
Yeah, from the trust, and use that to fund the village. And to pay back that loan, we could do the collectively sustainable programs to make that money back.
and why would you think that would be needed at this stage or where we at?
I was saying because if we use those properties, our properties, they could be stewardship centers and it could go under the collectively sustainable framework. It just build the network of collectively sustainable. So that way we'll have these resources. We can use our properties as assets. Does that make sense, y'all?
Okay, so you're already like, you know, but I didn't really, well, I said it in a couple of videos. So the next phase of the stewardship centers are to be funded, not indefinitely, but for 3 years. 3 years is like you're learning how to be sustainable, right? Within those 3 years, the same framework we're doing at our farm to be sustainable, we teach you how to do it. At the end of the 3 years, if you do want to continue, you can have the option to put your property into a trust, a land trust. So that was the last phase of a stewardship center. You can put it in this trust because we're already seeing that that's where a lot of our battle is. After you get past yourself and the next generation, you don't know what that third generation gonna do. And a lot of people are opting into giving their land to a respectable, steward, adjunct, opposed to linearly transferring it or down the line. They're willing to put it in the trust right now. So again, I feel like right now we're at that time where the temperature is right, and everybody's looking for something tangible, digestible, radical. And I think like right now we're at a prime position to kind of edify what we're talking about. So yeah, that's already in the prototype for the stewardship center. But I never thought about it in the terms of loaning, like taking money out of the trust or using it as capital.
It's used as leverage.
Yeah, but it makes sense. No, we do. Yeah, it's like taking out equity.
Collect
your home. Yeah,
right.
Same thing, same concept, but without all the taxes and yeah.
Right.
No, absolutely. I just never thought that far, but that's definitely a part of the stewardship center because we want to root ourselves into the community, not just be like a one-time pop-off. It's like, no, this is what this space is going to be forever. It's written here in the bylaws, you know what I mean? And now you're a beneficiary.
So what I would say to that is, well, one, I don't own this property. I don't own any property right now. But two, I've always, well, one of them, I think that'll come about. Like, let's say we already have all we need, and it's like, we got all we need financially to go out and buy the land and all the resources we need financially from divestment. And it's like, oh, but what about the properties that we already currently have? Then I think it would be like, okay, let's put those into a trust so they continue to be stewardship centers even when we move on to the next step. That's what I envisioned that kind of will come in for those who own property that are going into the land, whatever that may be. But also as something to put out there, because we're going to continue to chew on this stuff. I also would love to move forward, get out of the idea that we got to get into debt, like leverage your current assets for like debt. When I think about divestment dollars, my thing is that's what we don't got to go in debt. We don't got to get loans because we're getting these divestment dollars. And the other way that I look at the divestment dollars, y'all, you've heard me say this, and Kenesha and Ashley, y'all heard me say this. The money that's already out there that people are sitting in people's banks, that represents natural resources that have already been extracted, human labor that's already been extracted from indigenous populations, from enslaved populations, from overworked, masses populations that have been hoarded by the uber wealthy. It's already been worked for, it's already been extracted. Let's go use that, and I know how to have that conversation with those people who are sitting on that money. And some of them already feel the weight that they're sitting on that money. They know where it came from. So it's like, we don't got to go in debt to do this. The money's already there. Our ancestors, our cousins that have preceded us, no matter their ethnic background, etc., and Mother Earth have already given enough. And there's people that are sitting and hoarding it that we need to tap into. And that's going to be a part of my, pitch to those folks. So.
And if we have the land in a trust, because my brother's working on putting my house into the trust that he's put together, we still always have that option. As long as we got our property in the trust, we always have that option. If it comes to that, we can leverage it if we need to. Because I'm just at a point now in my life, I don't, whatever I have, whatever I'm building, whatever I'm earning, is to build this. I don't care about it. It's to build this. This is the real thing that we need. This is the real legacy for my kids, not money. This, what we're building, so they can have an actual real life and real future. So yeah, yeah. Sounds good. Excited.
So you'll can you send me?
I'm gonna go to One Network.
Okay.
Global One, I'm gonna go there. Since I got the framework, I'm gonna just go use theirs. It's already there. Grab it. We can take a generalized concept of net worth of the 1% if you want to. And let's just play a game if they all divested. And I'm literally gonna start from that extreme. If everybody participated, what does that look like? How long can it sustain? And then we quantify from there. I'm gonna do best practices, best chances, and then quantify from there.
Did you see did anybody see the Patagonia stuff I dropped?
Yeah, the screenshot.
Yeah.
With the one, yeah.
Did you see it?
No.
Patagonia, you know who they are? Clothing company. They have deeded all of they created a trust that they put $100 million into every year for grassroots, to go to grassroots initiatives for the earth. Like basically all their profits go to the earth. And the way they look at that is going to the earth means any organizations, grassroots initiatives that are going towards regenerative activities and initiatives towards the earth. $100 million every single year, in addition to them taking 1% of their profit that they've been doing that for years, since like the 90s, going to these type of organizations that get donated to. And now there's trust, 100 million a year. As a company, they make billions of dollars a year, and they're just giving it all to the earth. So it's like companies like that are out there.
And I would like to build an investor section on the website, so that way because a lot of people that helps with credibility when they can go to your website and see, oh, okay,
Mhm.
an investor section that you can reference and say, if you want to learn more about how we're going to use this money or how we've been using this money, check out our investors, look at other people that are investing. And I think that will help, build credibility for us,
Definitely,
generating more funds. So all I need is content and can just add onto the website for that.
All right, so between now and the next time we meet, what are we coming back with? What's the work? I know you said you're gonna go to one. Are we waiting for you to give that initial thing and then you want us to just look it over? You want us to chop it? Like, what, are we waiting on you at this point so you can give us the state stewardship center numbers? And
I can give you, I can do the stewardship center numbers today. I already have that document drafted. I think as far as our nation, I put like X amount per major city. But yeah, we can do that, and then yeah, the numbers to kind of compare, or to not compare, but kind of see how that can work as far as the divestment model. I think those two are the main things, so.
all right, so then I'll answer these questions based on what came up, and I'll just put a little blurb here. And based on what came out of today's conversation, I'll put a blurb here. And then we can take a look at whatever Lawrence brings to us, and we can decide when it feels good, like it's time to move to this. So I would say anyone that's on phase 2, start bringing your resources and stuff together, because that'll be next. But yeah, I think that's where we are. Just Lawrence bringing whatever you bring, me creating a blurb to articulate what we agreed on here, and then we'll be ready to move right into this.
Okay.
Too easy.
You want me to follow up with you at any point during
Yes,
the week?
please, yes.
I know you got a million things that
I'm probably gonna forget by the time I get home, man. So yeah, just a little quick text, man. That'll be helpful, very helpful.
All right.
Recenter myself, man.
All right. So that's our to-dos. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all on the virtual world. I see Kenesha bounced already. Appreciate anybody that's watching on the live stream. Anybody's watching this later. See y'all next time. Peace.
Did I respond?
Good job, joining in.